Hey, everybody. Business travel can look super duper glamorous. You see the posts that we put on about having cocktails on the rooftop and the palm trees and going to warm and exotic places for these big name conferences. But what you guys don't see is the 12 to 14-hour days in the classes or in the trainings and talking to all the vendors. It can be a really long day when you're out traveling. So the glamour looks one way online, but what's really the reality of when you're traveling for work? And really, are you able to set boundaries around that travel and routine of some sort so you don't totally go out of whack, right? So as a married real estate couple, how do we thrive and survive while we're working and traveling and getting those conferences in?
I think we do a pretty good job. But first, we are Kelly and Bruce Domaille with Married to Real Estate podcast.
We are married and we do real estate right here in Rochester, Minnesota. And we explore what it's like to work together as spouses in the same business. And today we are going to deep dive into all those things I just talked about, traveling for work and how you have some balance.
But before we do that, we need you to like, subscribe, and put any comments down below telling us that you love us.
All the things. Okay, so let's get started. So how much really do real estate agents have to travel to these conferences and whatnot? And is it really worth it? So how much would you say we travel per year?
For business, we probably travel 3 or 4 times a year for business.
Right. I mean, there's 1,000 options out there. I mean,
Yeah.
you could be traveling every week if you really wanted to, but is that smart, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what's a smart approach really to figuring out what to do and when to go?
So for us, I mean, we have 2 conferences that are kind of must go tos every year for our real estate business, right?
Mhm.
One's generally in the spring and one's generally in the fall. So we're able to manage that. But yeah, you're right. We could be at a conference every week and be full-time students and never get any business done.
Right.
And that's not right either.
Right. And honestly, there are some brokerages out there that don't even have their own conferences. So you've got to look for some outside sources like the Tony Robbins thing or the Glover Real Life. Like there are real estate related conferences, there's motivational life skill conferences, things like that. So to determine where you want to go or what you want to do, first of all, does your brokerage offer any conference type training or rallies of some sort that you can attend? And number 2, if not, where do you want growth? Is it business and production related? Is it maybe some life balance stuff? Look for conferences in your area or where you'd like to go that can teach you the skills or can address the things that you want to learn about. So the other thing about that is, yes, traveling costs money. So if you don't have a lot of money to spend on that, there are certainly online conferences or training that you can take. And there's local ones that maybe you can just drive to, stay with a friend or family member so you can save money on flights and hotels. But there's lots of training everywhere. So finding something shouldn't be an excuse. It's just where you want to go and how much you want to spend.
And you just don't want to miss out on that stuff. But you have to decide what's going to bring you more value. What interests you, because you're not going to these things just to go to them to have a vacation. If you are, you're probably already doing plenty of business and the conference really doesn't matter, right? It's a vacation.
Right.
For most of us, the conferences matter. And what am I going to get out of it, right? What's the conference about? What do I like? My goal is to set a takeaway of 3 items to do. And you have to do them. Otherwise, the conference is just an expense, right? And most of us can't afford just that expense unless you bring something home, you implement it, and it starts making you money.
Right. So let's talk about when you attend these things. Are they really worth it, in your opinion? We just got back from South Beach, Miami, you guys. Miami. It was
fun.
lovely.
Food was
The palm
great.
trees. It was the cocktails on the roof. It was fun. But it was 4 days, 4 days of, from the morning to the end of go, go, go and classes and keynote speakers and a lot of information, right?
Yeah, it was intense.
But would you say it was worth it? And
For
why?
me, I mean, I'll speak for me. Once we got there, we kind of went our separate ways. So for me, it was absolutely worth it. My whole thought on going to these conferences is I will make sure that I attend all of the breakout sessions that I like, right? That
Right, and when
pertain
you
to me.
said we go our separate ways, the reason we do is because Bruce runs the back end of our business, so what interests him and where he needs to learn new tools, technology, everything is more, probably AI related and back end tools, systems, things like
Yep.
that. Where I
Marketing.
go is more production related, getting more listings, getting more buyers, how to structure your team, things like that are more production and front end related. So that's the cool thing about conferences is you and I aren't just stuck in one room learning the same thing. We're both going our separate ways and then we can come back and talk about what we learned.
Right. So for me, my mindset going into these things is I'm gonna attend all these breakouts that I like. And when I attend them, I'll take screenshots of the presentation so that I have a digital picture that I can refer to when I come back. I'll take notes of the presentations, and sometimes I'll even fully record the half hour, 45-minute presentation so that we can come back. I can use my AI skills, put it into ChatGPT and get a summary of it. And then I can give it to Kelly and she knows what I learned. So my goal is to have a bunch of notes and videos and audio at the end of this conference that I can come back and I can start chipping away at. And when we first started in real estate, I remember coming back with 10 or 15 full pages of notes, and it would seriously take me 6 months to 8 months to get through the whole thing of implementing all the notes and figuring out how it's all going to go together. So it's a long-term thing. It's not like everything's going to happen the minute you get back. So that's my mindset. That's what I want my takeaway to be when I go to these conferences.
The other thing that I like is that it gets you out of your local bubble. When you go to these conferences, you are seeing things on a national perspective. I mean, you just get to take the blinders off a little bit and say, yep, here's what's happening in Rochester, but here's what's happening in Minnesota. Here's what's happening in the Midwest. And here's what's happening nationally. And thankfully for us and the brokerage we're with, we're even talking what's happening globally, which is just fantastic, right? Because it just puts things in perspective. And you can have better conversations with your clients when you get back home. So I love that benefit. And again, you don't have to attend every single thing and every single conference. So just pick and choose the ones that work for you and then make the most of them while you're there. If you're going to spend the time to go, go. And like Bruce said, he goes in and he's not going to miss anything. He makes a list of all the breakout sessions and the things that he wants to attend and attend them, you guys. You're investing in yourself. And that is probably the biggest thing. Anyway, we'll
Yeah.
get to that later.
Yeah.
So, what do you think are some of the biggest benefits, really, of attending conferences and traveling for work, other than what we've just talked about?
Yeah. So for me, obviously, if I get back to the breakout sessions, it's learning new tools. For me, it's not learning AI. I've been doing that for about 4 years. It's just finding out what's getting better and what new things are coming out that I can use that saves me time. That's really about where we're at in our business right now. I also love the fact that I've been on Zoom meetings the entire year, and most of these people are big hitters. They're people that you wouldn't ever expect to be in the same room with. And at our conferences, they're approachable. You see them during the sessions, you see them in the hallways, you see them at the after parties, and it's a casual place to be able to start conversing with people that you look up to and that you want to aspire to, and you can have real conversations with them. And
Right.
that's what I love is the collaboration and getting in bigger rooms with people.
Right. And so not only is that 100% accurate, I mean, you're thinking, oh my God, I'll never be able to talk to the CEO of the company. And I'm standing next to him, shaking his hand, I'm having a conversation, right? Or for you, Phil Stringer, Mr. AI of the world, you're sitting there shaking hands and having conversations with them. But the even better thing, especially if you're a newer agent, get to these conferences because you make connections. You make
Yeah.
connections with agents all over the country, all over the world, depending on who you're with, and specifically in the areas of interest. So if you're a luxury agent, you're going to meet other luxury agents, right? If you're a military network agent, you'll meet other military agents, right? Build your sphere of influence or your agent referral network so much easier because you'll have met them face to face. You'll have had a conversation. You'll know if you like them. You'll know if you want to keep them in your little database of agents. And now when somebody needs a referral in Austin, Texas, you know who to call because you've actually met them and talked to them, and you can tell your client, this person is wonderful. I spent half an hour really diving deep into who they were, and I got to know them really well. And I feel really good handing you off to them because they know this area like the back of their hand. That referral sounds a little bit better than, yeah, we have an agent that works in the office down there. I can give you their name and number, which they could be a great agent. They might not be. So what a great way to just make connections. There are people that just go to these conferences 100% because of the connections that they make. And
Yep.
they have cute little gimmicks. They run around, hand out little thing. Like we met a guy at our convention. He's from Kansas City, Missouri, home of the barbecue. And his thing was he gave little spice bottles of barbecue rub with his information on it. What a great way to remember somebody. You stand out and you're taking it home and you're sitting there using his spice rub for the next year with his name on it. Brilliant,
Right.
right? So there's lots of fun ways that you can get connected to other agents all over the country.
Yeah. The other thing that it does after the convention, I mean, the conventions are meant to fire you up, right? Get you back interested in whatever your business is. For us, it happens to be real estate, but get you fired up about the business and get you back into production and prospecting mode when you come back.
Right. It's kind of like what you said earlier about you're fired up. You come back, you're going to maybe, out of all the things you learned, you're going to pick maybe 2 or 3 or 4 things that you really want to implement, but you're fired up about it, right?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
The other the other thing, I guess the last thing that I have is that it also gets you to connect with people that could be potential coaches or mentors or people that you just want to connect with on a weekly basis for accountability, right? That you might look up to and that you might have something in common. And that works extremely well. I mean, we all need those people.
Right.
The conferences are a great place to find them.
Well, I think and I'll just use our conference that we were just in. You know, you and I participate in a lot of online Zooms, masterminds, collaborations, whatever. But sometimes, and we did this, I think we signed up for 2 different little individual additional trainings that we found out were going on that got kind of more specific and more niche, right? And that's the one thing you can really find out is that, hey, I do have a specific question, or I really want to dig a lot deeper just in this one little area. You can find where they're doing specific trainings on those niches, right? So I just think you wouldn't know that just sitting back home at your office, you know, not getting out and talking, or you're not going to find it online necessarily unless someone's doing an Instagram or a reel about their newest training. You've got to get out and talk to people. And most of these conferences have like an expo area or an area where vendors from our industry can be, right? So here's another valuable, I think, asset or benefit to attending these conferences. If you have questions, if you've maybe wanted to try something, but you don't want to invest the money because you're not sure, you can go talk to these vendors. You can talk to agents who use their products, find out the good, the bad, the frustrations, the benefits, all of those things before you commit to signing up, right? Or they can give you some kind of discount to try it out, right? So you're not signing up and paying full price. You're getting a discounted, I attended the conference price to try out some of these products. So I think that's hugely valuable that you can talk to them directly and be exposed to them. And they tell you about the individual trainings that they do on their products that you might not know about either.
Right.
So,
Right. And
that's
just to
huge.
piggyback on that, sometimes if with a product that you use, if you're having issues and you feel like you're on an island and nobody's going to help you and you can't reach out to support and they don't do a very good job, they're at the conference and you can go in and ask them, because most of the people have their IT or their support people and not just their salespeople at these conferences. So it's well worth stopping in to get a problem fixed or resolved or understand something better as well.
Yeah. I think we went to the conference and you had a list of questions for our CRM company, of just how
Yeah.
do I do this and can you help me fix this? And so that was good, right? You get that opportunity.
Yeah.
Plus, you can find some cool swag, like your companies or real estate industry has lots of cool things, bags, briefcases, sweatshirts, t-shirts. You can support your local company. And if your brokerage doesn't do these conferences, the industry is still putting on, conferences where you're going to learn a lot, right? You're going to learn a lot just about our industry, about what's happening. And, that's good. And the other thing I like about our conference too is we're learning about new things within our company. We live in our bubble here and we know what's happening locally, but we don't always know what our leadership group at the top level is working on and expanding. The CEO of our company, owner of our company, just developed his own, I would say, internal, it's kind of like workplace on Facebook. We're all used to using Facebook with friends and we can join groups and we can join. Well, Facebook used to have Workplace, which works the same way, but it's for companies, like an internal, communication for companies. Well, Facebook decided to go away from that. Well, we tried a different thing and everybody didn't like it. Glenn Sanford develops his own internal way to communicate. I mean, this is how smart he is. This is like amazing, right? And he rolls that out at our last convention. That EXP Hub is available now, that we're all going to be able to have a new platform now to communicate that's very similar to the way Workplace did, because it was very easy and user friendly. But I mean, you just don't know that that's happening until you go attend these conferences. Then you're like, wow.
That
Yeah.
was cool.
Yeah, very cool. So, obviously, we've talked about the benefits of the conferences. What if you're somebody who travels and you don't have a spouse traveling with you, right? That can be kind of hard because you're traveling here, you're traveling there, spouse is back home, handling house stuff, maybe kid stuff, their own work stuff, right?
Yeah.
How do you make sure that you're keeping things copacetic, if that makes sense?
There's a lot of people that do that. There's a lot of our friends that do that, right? One of them travels or both of them travel and they go different ways, right? Think that if you're traveling and you've got a partner at home, I mean, obviously keeping in touch with them and
Hmm.
letting them know that they're doing a great job. I mean, they're doing you a great service to be able to stay home, either take care of the kids or take care of the house or the animals or whatever. That allows you to be able to go on these conference trips.
Right.
And that's a big deal. It's, to me, it's just like acknowledging that takes care of the kids if she's a stay-at-home mom, right? It's the
Yeah.
exact same thing. That's her job. And that allows you to do everything else.
Right. Or his
And
job.
vice versa. There's stay-at-home dads that moms travel on the conferences too.
Right. I just went to Michigan for a conference earlier this year and you stayed home. And the benefit was you were able to maintain our local business and have that not miss a
Yep.
beat. But I kept you up to date. At night, I'd call you. Here's what I learned today. Here's who I met. This is what's going on. And then you could give me the blow by blow of what's happening back here. So we're keeping each other in tune, thanking each other for doing what we're doing on either end. But,
Yeah.
you definitely need to have the small touches and the small gestures. Maybe bring them home something fun from where you were. Maybe you send them flowers or you send them something from Miami or Las Vegas or wherever you're traveling to. And you
Yeah.
just send them something to say, hey, thanks so much for holding down the fort while
Yep.
I'm away. I really appreciate you. Okay. So just know that it's not easy, whether you're the person traveling or you're the person home. It's not easy on either end. Like, I don't like being away from home. I love to travel, but when it's work and you're away for 4 days and you're sleeping in a hotel room, it's not your bed, you're eating out every night. That's not always so great either.
Living out of a
So,
suitcase. Right.
right. So be good to the other person and let them know that you appreciate it. And the other part of that is when you and I both travel, we don't have a partner or spouse that's at home taking care of things.
Yeah.
So there is that added stress of who can we get to cover our business while we're gone
Right.
and making sure it's the right agent to cover your business. We were just at our brokerage convention, which means a lot of our fellow agents with EXP were also gone at that convention. So there weren't a lot of people that were staying back. There were a few, and we had some great ones that were able to just cover a few appointments for us, which was fantastic. But that is an added stress when you have to travel. You have to think about that. If you're both leaving, or if you're the only person that runs your business and you don't have anybody to cover, you've got to think about who can do that for you.
Yeah, that's a great point, because just because you go to these conferences, and a lot of people in your company or your industry go to these conferences, it doesn't
Mhm.
mean that your business stops for those 4 days or that week that you're gone.
Even when we're gone, you and I still carve out time to check our emails, return calls. We're not
Yeah.
just going on hiatus for 4 days or 5 days and expecting everybody to just wait for us or whoever's back home covering business to do that. No, they're covering the absolute urgent stuff that has to happen right now, that needs someone physically here locally that we can't accommodate, right? Otherwise, I wrote an offer while I was gone. I'm negotiating deals while I'm gone. I'm still working while I'm trying to learn and grow my business.
In little 15-minute snippets between the breakout sessions, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay. Listen.
Okay. So as we go to these conferences, we tend to get burnout because there's so much going on. What
Mhm.
do we do at the conferences to alleviate that? Do you have any
Right.
thoughts?
Well, because it is work, right? But if you're going somewhere that's awesome, like we were just in South Beach, that's kind of a fun place. What we did, and we tend to do, is we'll either book an extra day or two on the front end or an extra day or two on the back end to just be able to spend some time in the city or the place that we're at, right? I mean, so we can enjoy actually being there because sometimes we're in places we've never been.
Right.
So we do want to learn a little bit more about that area. So we tend to do that so that we can get some personal time and us time to make it feel a little bit easier to handle, all the craziness of the classes and the, meetings and all of that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, like you said, we actually went out to this conference a couple days early, and we had a couple of dinners planned just for you and I. We wanted to check out the food. I had never been to South Beach.
Mhm.
So luckily we were in an area that we could walk a lot and a long ways. Speaking of walking, we put on 10 miles every day. That walking in that conference was a lot. But yeah, that personal time was kind of nice, and it breaks up the conference. It gives you a little motivation, recharge, the ability to try some really great food. Um,
Well, and
and
we had
and
a
just
we had a
kinda
friend
get
that
away.
was there with her husband, and they rented bikes, and they rode all the way to the north end of, South Beach. And so what a great way to just experience the area, and I know you and I do this all the time. "Ooh, there's a for sale sign. What is that house selling for?" Right? So we're learning the market in terms of what is their home value down in that area, which again lends to better perspective about different areas of the country.
Right,
So I
right.
would definitely say set some time aside. You and I spent some time at the pool, just did a little recharge for ourselves too, which was nice. Had a little nap in the little
Yep.
cabana. It was fun.
You just have to make sure that even though we set aside that personal time, that we still have the mindset that it's not a vacation. I
Right.
mean, we're there to work, and
Yeah.
that's what pays for the vacation.
But you can set some time for you, but you also get some fun time in the evening just to network. We attended a couple happy hours with agents that we had met via Zooms and masterminds, and now we're meeting them in person and we're getting to know them personally. So we do talk about work, and it is work, but we're really getting to know these people on a very personal level so that when we do have to make referrals, we know them. We know more about their style of and what their specialties are. And it's fun to
Yeah,
just let your hair down a little bit and have some fun and,
yeah,
karaoke
yeah.
or whatever you do.
So after that, right after we've set our personal time and gone to the conferences, I think we should touch on the fact that you and I do come back and we share what we both learned. Tell each other, teach each other what we learned, and get a different perspective on how it can help us in our business. So it's
For
almost like
sure.
it's almost after conference debrief, right?
Right. Well, and you and I actually, we do that almost every day. We come back
Yeah.
to the hotel room before we're going to go out to dinner. We're like, okay, what'd you do today? What'd you learn? So we do our mini debrief. But if you guys have teams or an assistant that couldn't travel with you, go back and do a debrief with your team or with those other team members and teach them what you learned. I mean, that's the whole benefit of going is now maybe one person goes, but the ripple effect of what you learned or what's new that's coming down the pipeline for our industry, share that, teach that with your office or your team, because that's a huge value right there.
Absolutely. Don't
And
don't
if
be
you're and if you are working with a brokerage, we're very lucky that, we're at a production level where our brokerage pays us, a chunk back to attend some of these things. So that's a nice incentive, right? If we go, they give us a little bit of stock back, thanking us for attending these events. But it really is an investment in growing your business. If all you are going to do is continue to just live right here, that's all you're going to get, right? If you could just go here, what's in that little difference, right? That you didn't know, that maybe now that one thing you can bring back and make your business expand out to that next border, right?
yeah.
Don't look at it as an expense. Like you mentioned earlier, people go, "Oh, it's expensive," or "this is an expense." Look at it as an investment in your business. And if it costs you a couple $1,000s between flight, room, whatever, to attend a couple day conference, do you think you could learn one or two things and bring back and maybe do one extra bit of business that you'll recoup that money and then some back? Absolutely. I would say 100% absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's almost a have to and a must. Because if you look at going to conferences as advertising, any good business person is going to take the advertising and they're going to hold it accountable, right? So you're going to do it for a period of time. And if you're not getting any business, you're either going to tweak the advertising or you're not going to do it and you're going to move on to something else that hopefully works, right?
Right.
If you treat going to a conference the exact same way, I think that's the kind of mindset and mentality that you have to have with these conferences is that I need to get something out of them or they're not doing me any good or I'm not doing what I need to do after the conference with the information that I learned to be able to implement it and make my business better and stronger and more successful, right?
Right. You're focused totally on that return on investment. So if I'm going to invest and go there, I'm going to bring something back that I can implement and do and focus on and see what kind of return I get. And a lot of it is on you. Like I said, we can learn 30 different things in one conference, but you can't do 30 different things and do them well. So when
Right.
you and I do our debrief, here's a couple things you're going to start to work on and implement. Here's a couple things that I'm going to start to work on and implement. And we really try to master that and put that into play. And we get that going so that we do get a return. If we don't see it or it doesn't work out or we find, I thought this was going to be good for us, but not, we cut it, right? And then we go back to our list of our other 30 things that we learned and we can pick the next important one that we liked, right? So you don't have to do everything. Pick the one or two most important things that you really feel passionate about that you learned or that really could help what you needed help with and implement those. And that's going to be your big win right there for just attending that conference. And I guarantee you'll get every penny back that you spent to go there. But
You also have to know, that's a good little segue to this because you are spending money to go to the conference. You also have to know that a lot of the stuff that you take away from the conference is either free or it's building on the things that you already have. And the building is just adding a couple of building blocks that are free. It's doing things differently that makes your job easier, your life easier, your lead generation easier and more effective. But most of what you learn can be implemented for free. So
right,
that's really on you to make sure that you get that return on investment and implement that stuff.
right, exactly. So
Yeah.
I guess in wrapping things up, I would say I have met some of the most wonderful people. I have met lifelong friends by attending these conventions. I have made connections beyond my wildest dreams that have put me in bigger rooms than I ever thought I would get into just by investing in me and Domaille real estate, right? And I
Yep.
absolutely know that you would concur with that and agree with that.
Absolutely.
So if you're going to take anything away from this podcast is do not be afraid to attend these trainings or these conventions and look at it as an investment in yourself, not as an expense. Take advantage of these opportunities. And again, if you haven't attended anything, you don't have to go to 100. Just pick one or that you really feel that you could get something from and start by just attending one or two.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Agree. There you go.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you guys for joining us this week.
It's
We're
been
glad
so
to be
much
back
fun.
from Miami.
Yeah.
What was that?
Yep. I said it's been so much fun.
Yeah, it was fun to be in nice 85-degree weather, but we're glad to be back home, and we're looking forward to our next one. So thanks again for joining us. We're Married to Real Estate podcast here. Make sure that you subscribe, you rate us, you follow us everywhere that you listen to your podcasts, and whether that's YouTube or Spotify. And just if you have questions or comments, put them down below and we will make sure to answer those. And we'll look forward to seeing you guys
Absolutely.
next time.
Thanks again, everybody. Make sure you go to those conferences.